Today for math fourth graders, we're going to be talking about place value. Can you see my mouse on the screen?
Yeah.
In third grade, I think you only went into this yellow thousand numbers, right? You only really worked with numbers into thousands. Well, in fourth grade, we got to go all the way into this green one with the millions. We have really big numbers that we work with in fourth grade, but they're really not that hard. Okay? There's a simple little pattern to it. So we're going to watch the song. See if you can figure out what the pattern for reading numbers is, okay? Those are the teachers who made the video. All right, so let's go back to just this part so we can see the screen, okay? Perfect, so I want to find the pattern. Did you notice a certain pattern, even just looking at that chart? Is there any sort of pattern that you can see? Lily, what do you see?
It's like 1, 10,000, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 100, 100.
You're good. 10,000 and then 100,000. What happens when we get into the millions? And then 100 million. So each group has a group of 10 and a group of 100, right? Zach?
It's kind of like you take the number and then you multiply it by 10 and then you get the bigger number.
And now we're going to go over that tomorrow. You're already onto it. Multiplying by 10 to go up a spot. It's 10 more each time. Brooke?
Also, there is actually another pattern that
what do you see?
I see that every single one of these things actually kind of rounds up.
What do you mean by that?
From 1 all the way to 10, it rounds up all the way by 10. It rounds up by 10.
Yep, so kind of like Zach was saying, we need 10 more to move up each time. How many numbers are there in each group? How many digits would there be in each grouping? What do you think, Zach? There's 3 in each grouping, right? 3 here, a comma, 3, and a comma. We do need those commas, fourth graders, to make it easier to read. Otherwise, if you just see a big group of numbers, it's hard to read. Okay? You want to play it one more time? Okay, let me do this. I'm going to pause the video so we can watch it again. If you want to listen again, you can rewind. So, all right, we are back. So now we're going to do work in our notebook together. Normally, we've been having 2 pages that we cut out and glue, right? Today, we're only going to have 1. So I need on the back side, like we did before, you're going to put the notebook page. And you should have a blank side on the right because we're going to take some notes on the right side. So please find your next notebook page. And then I'll come around and pass this out, and you're going to glue it in. And you can get yours ready while we are doing this. So I'm going to pause the video until you're ready to come back. Okay, so we are back. So now our notebook should look kind of like this, right? You have this page glued in. On the top, can you please write today's date? I'm covering up half my page to keep it a surprise.
You're already doing ours. You're already doing ours. Who probably has the answer? Did you bring a phone? Yeah.
You're doing a really good job of getting home, but you really don't have our Congratulations. All right. So now, like we did in the video, we're talking about numbers. We should, by the end of today, be able to read and write multi-digit whole numbers using numerals, word form, and expanded form. Holy moly, is that a mouthful, huh?
Yeah.
Mrs. Wells is going to go through and make it a breeze next. Are you ready? All right, so we have this really big number. Which spot does our number go all the way up to? It goes to the millions, right? If we find the farthest left and we read right above it, it's in the millions. So let's look down below at this first part. You have a number form box. Do you notice how I wrote numerals underneath? Go ahead and write that. Sometimes numerals is Numerals. Is that a little better if I zoom in? Sometimes when they say number form, sometimes you'll hear numerals. Why do those ones make sense together? Think about it. Number form, numerals. Do they kind of sound alike? They both kind of have that same root of right? Numbers, numeral, number. They both mean ones with numbers. Number form is also known as like standard form, the regular way you write a number. So what I would do is write my 1 million, and then I would need a comma because it's in a new place. I know. Okay? Then I keep writing my number. I have a 2, a 5, and a 4. And that's 3 numbers, and now I'm going into my ones place. So I put another comma, and I write my last 3 numbers. 3, 7, 9. Number form numerals is just the regular way to write a number. Okay? Number form is just writing the number. Okay? Now to read the number, I read it 1, and I say the place that it ends at when I get to the comma. Like take a look at my board or above the alphabet. Do you see how it says 3 and then there's a comma and the comma says million? Then I read 215, comma, I would say 1,809. So for this one, I would say 1,254,379. So to read it, I say the number as I see it, and then that comma tells me to say the place name. Let's try number form. Number form, you might also see it as number names. So go ahead and write that underneath word form. You might see that as number names. This is kind of what I think might be the most frustrating one because you have to write out exactly what it says. There are no shortcuts for word form. So for word form, I think, how would I read it? Oh yeah, 1,254,379. Now I'm going to write that exactly how I say it. So I write 1 million. Notice, did I put a number 1? Nope, I have to write out the word. That's why it's word form. I have all words, no numbers. 1 million. Then I slow down and think, oh yeah, 254, 254, and that was in the thousands, so then I write thousands. And I like to put a comma like I would when I write it to separate my periods, to separate the houses. Remember, is this a spelling test? Not a spelling test, just as best as you can. Am I done writing my word form yet? Nope. Now I need my ones period. So now I look, and there was 379. So next I write 379. Okay, if you need more time, you can go ahead and pause the video. All right, so we are back, and we did our number form and we did our word form. Now we got our last part is expanded form. This means the sum of each place value. So go ahead and write that. Sum of each place value. Do you remember what sum tells us what kind of math to do? Do you remember, Thomas? The sum is the answer to what kind of math problem? Adding, addition, yep. So we're going to add the different places. Okay? So I'm thinking back to my number. I know you can't see mine, but I'm looking at my number that we were working with. So I have 1 million. So I would put, I need to show 1 million. Notice I don't have any of the other numbers yet because I'm going to add them in. So I'm looking at just my first spot, 1 million. Then I do a plus. Now that's a little better. Now I'm looking at my 100,000. I have 200,000. So the rest of these behind it turn to zeros. Then I do a plus. And I look at my next spot, 10,000. So I have a 5 in that spot. The rest of my numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn to zeros. Because I'm saying, how many 10,000s? Oh yeah, I have 50 10,000s. Thank you for following along as best as you can, fourth graders. I know this is hard, but you're showing that really good mindset. Keep it up. All right, but that's not the end of my number, is it? So now I'm going to add how many thousands? 4,000. And I keep adding until I'm all the way to the end of my number. Raise your hand if you could tell me what should we add next. What do you think, Alasia? We just did that, yep. So next would be plus 300. Good. And Thomas, what would I add next? Plus 70. And then Lily? Plus 9. So now we know how to write our number form, word form, and expanded form. Remember, fourth grade friends, just a reminder, we're recording, so I hope you're being respectful. Monica? Kind of, yep. It was like we're moving our way down, and we have one less zero each time. Okay? All right. So, we have this page all filled out, right? Now, flip your page. Oh, do you need this anymore? Okay. Flip so you see your blank page of your notebook, and mine's going to look a little different because I went ahead and wrote stuff in. Levi, you can just do it on the back if you want with us. Make this open, yeah. Okay. All right. So, mine up here, I drew a little light bulb. If you want to do that, you can. You don't have to. To do it, I just drew a rectangle, and then I did a circle over it, and I did lines across it to look like the little metal part, and then I added light coming out of it, little dashes. You can copy it, yep. You need to write at least the first part though. Write each number in expanded form. That's kind of our directions for what we're doing. So make sure you write it so if you look back at your notes, you know what to do. Remember, I might go a little fast and I will pause the recording, and you can pause it on the recording if you need more time to work. So let's do the first one together. We're going to write it in expanded form. Which one was that? Was that the one where we write it how it is with the words, or where it like stretches out? The stretchers. Do you know what expand means? Michael, what does expand mean? It grows. If something expands, it grows. So does that make sense that expanded form grows? It gets bigger? It's like you're adding things to it so it gets bigger. So I'm going to do the first one, just a reminder. I look at my first place and I have a 7, and I know it's in the thousand spot. So I write 7,000. Now I'm going to do a plus, and I don't have too much room over here, so I'm going to come underneath. Now I go to my next spot is the hundreds. I have a 6 in the hundred spot, so I write 600. Now I'm going to add how many tens? I have 2 tens, which is 20. And then I write my ones, plus 2. Let's look at the next one. Who thinks they know how we would start 294,160? What would we do first? What would we do first, Maddie? 200, and I have my comma, yep, 1,000. Good. Then I do a plus. Next, I need my 10,000s. How many 10,000s? What do you think? What do you think, Zach? 90,000. Yep, there's 90 there. Plus, I do my thousands next. Lizzie, how many thousands? Not quite yet. We need the very next number. 4,000. Because I just did my 10, and I'm getting closer to that comma each time. Now I'm on the other side of my comma. Now I add, what spot is this? What spot is that, Lily? The hundreds. How many hundreds do we have? Lily? 1, so I write 100. Plus, now I go to my next spot. What do you think, Amelia? What would come next? Plus 60. Now, what do you notice about our last spot? Claire, what do you notice? It's a 0. Do I need to add plus 0?
No.
You can if you want to. Because to remind you, there's nothing in that one spot, but you don't have to. Because if I add 0 to anything, my number stays the same. Let's take a look at this next one, though. It has a 0 in it, doesn't it? Is it at the end, though? No. So when I get to that spot, I want to be careful that I'm watching which spot I'm in. What should we start with? What do we start writing? Amelia?
4 million?
Not 4 million. Remember, 4, close. So remember, we have our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 40,000. Good. Now, I did my 10,000. What's next? Brooke?
3,000.
3,000. And I'm going to put my plus sign over here because I ran out of room. What's after 3,000 then? Nate, what do you think?
700.
Then I have my 700. Yep. Now I add, this one's a little tricky. What do I add next? What do you think, Bennett?
2.
I just add my 2. When I'm writing out my number in that number form, I need to make sure that I have a 0 to hold the spot. But when I do it in expanded form, I don't need that 0. Okay? All right. How are we feeling on expanded form? I think once you catch on, it's easier. Why don't you just grab a Band-Aid for now, and I'll help you tie it on. What? Can you put the cast on? Just slip it over your finger. Hold on, just slip it over your finger and bring me a Band-Aid. Bring me a Band-Aid, I'll help you. All right. Next up, you are gonna write the number names for the number word form. Okay? So writing that direction, and I'm gonna unpause the video when you are ready to go on. Okay, so let's take a look at the next directions. Now we have to write the number names for the numbers. Remember, number names means that word form. Okay, so let's take a look at these 3. First, I have to think, how do I read this number? Oh yeah, I go from left to right. So I have 1. That comma tells me to say the place. I only have 1 comma, so I know this is my thousands. 1,000, and then I read this like I don't have the top part. 688. So then I put them together. 1,688. And then I do my best to write what that number form is. 1,688. The number names, remember me, and I write that word form. Do you see how I went through and read it first and then wrote it? If I try and write it before I read it, I might miss something. So I want to try and read it first. All right, let's look at the next one. How would you read that number in the middle first? First, we need to read it. Does anyone think they can read that number? Nate, you think you can? 331,872. You're really close. We don't say and, because when we say and, that means we have a decimal. You're not the only one. Every year I have a lot of people who make that, just learning how to say the number. Just a little technicality. But Nate was right. 331,872. And then I start writing just like I would say it. So I have 331, and then I have that comma, 1,000. And now I go to my next place. It's just 872. So I write it just like I would say it. 872. When you're ready, go ahead and try the last one. We'll come back together in a few moments. Try writing the number name for that last number in pink. Okay? you're working on the number name for that last one. You're working on writing that number name for the last one. And you can pause the video while you work. Alright, so when we did that one, we should have gotten 44,444.
You're lucky.
Okay. Alright, let's take a look at our last one. You don't have to write this one in your book. I'm trying. Oh, that's right, because, okay, so my screen decided to do something funny this morning where it won't show the last, eighth of it. So, alright. Is that better? I forgot about that. On my screen, it looks good, but on the projector, for some reason, it, cuts it off. I don't know why. Okay. So, you don't need to write this one down because it looks like a lot of words, but let's just chat about it, okay? So, if I have the number 72,204, which places would be filled on a place value chart? That's a really fancy way to say what places are used. What's one place that is used in that number? Bennett, what's one? We do have our 10,000s when we start. So if we're going from big to small, we would have 10,000s. What's another place that we use? What's another one? Camille? 300. So which place? Yep. The hundreds is another one, yep. You don't have to, we're just chatting. Hundreds. What else is used? Ryan? The ones definitely is used. Which number is in the ones place? The 4 is. Alright, there's 2 more spots. What else is used? Zach, what else is used? So the thousands place, the 2 is in there, yep. So we have our thousands. What's our last place used then? But it is used, or what is it? Alasia? Our tens place. It looks like it's not used, but is there really a spot? That's like a placeholder. Because if we didn't have this 0, 7, 2, is this the same number now? No, so I need to make sure that tens place still gets used, because otherwise it changes my number completely. That's why it's so important that we put those zeros in the right spot. Okay, so we are going to get started on our homework next, and you can check back in tomorrow to correct your homework.